fact, this morning I was swimming. I'm down at the shore and I was out swimming kind of near the ocean too. And um, I was just feeling so connected. I was feeling connected to the water, and I was looking out actually at the ocean too and feeling connected to that water, even though I was swimming in a pool. And looking out and just seeing the surface of the ocean, just like the surface of the pool. And there's so much underneath. Like we look out, but we don't realize how much is going on underneath. But if we were to dive down below, we can see a whole world that's underneath. And so I was swimming along and I felt so connected to the water, and we're so connected. And then I was starting to feel so many of the people that we've talked to on the other side. I was feeling angels, I was feeling spirits, and I felt like there's this enormous circle. Like I felt like so connected by the water to this enormous circle of loved ones and angels and the water. And it's a cloudy day, but I felt the sun, even though I couldn't see the sun, I felt the sun on the other side. But just this incredible feeling of not being alone and being so connected energetically with things that I see, and then the things that are below the surface that are in the unseen, that are there.
Mm. So interesting, because I was hearing this morning, probably when you were swimming, because you and I are so connected. We haven't done one of these videos in a long time, but we are going to get back into doing these because there's so much information that is streaming through lately. It is an absolute time of change and transformation. And I was just feeling such connection this morning around that. And in a session this morning that came through also. But while you were swimming and talking about the sun, I was hearing Sheryl Crow's "I Want to Soak Up the Sun," that song. It's such
I love
a
that
happy
song.
song. Yeah, it's such a great happy song. But yes, I when we get things there, we always find there's such connection between. They were talking about how you are connected to things been below the surface, how you are connecting with the ocean, the waters, and I always connect with the animals and the insects and anything that's living. I have incredible spiders that weave webs all over my house. And so I was out this morning playing with Clementine, my dog, and my pug, and I was guided to go. I have this herb box, to go look in it, and I know that some of the herbs were drying out or overwatered. I'm not really sure. I don't have so much of a green thumb what it was causing it. But it got me to go over and look, and my cilantro, and I am going to post this picture around this video, I saw two spirals that were attached to the stems of the cilantro. So they weren't very big. These are herbs. And I saw they were white spirals. That's all I saw. And it reminded me of our DNA. And I even looked up, and it also reminded me, I knew something around spirals and spirituality, and how we release our ego and the unraveling, somehow the unraveling of our ego. And so I blinked, and then when I looked again, it was actually two caterpillars, which was amazing, because all I saw the first time, I felt like I was in another dimension. And that's where I've been going in and out of lately, that I saw just the outside of the whiteness of the caterpillar. But when I blinked and I actually saw the caterpillars, I could see the yellow color, yellow light, which is like the sun, but I could see the yellow color. And I was getting two messages. One, what a time it is for transformation and change. Incredible. And caterpillars they symbolize that they go into their cocoon, and they change, and the metamorphosis and all that. It is such a huge time of change that anybody that is alive now, I felt such excitement that this is an incredible opportunity and time for change. And it can feel daunting, and it can feel challenging and hard, but that is spiritual change. And that is what happens. That's how we release. And the second message really relates to it, is about healing our emotional body. Healing our emotional body actually changes our DNA. And those spirals were connections with the fact that our DNA is spiraled, and how when we heal our emotional body, when we go through these transformational changes, that they're so powerful, but we are healing our DNA. And not only are we healing our DNA, but we are healing our children's DNA. It's incredible. And I saw people's children, and I saw the effect of them healing their emotional bodies, and all the work that so many are doing around healing and feeling actually does change our DNA.
Beautiful and profound. I think that when we are connecting to identifying and actually becoming aware of what was the emotional trauma, or what was something that caused something to block the truth, right? And it creates patterns in us, just like probably the patterns you were seeing in the caterpillars, but it creates patterns that need to be released and unraveled. And really, that image that you're giving me of the caterpillar in the cocoon, what it's really doing is opening up to our truth, right? When we go into the cocoon, and then when we shed that cocoon, we're really shedding all that we are not. We form so many cocoons around ourselves. We form so many, those emotional blocks and so forth. And when we shed it, we actually step into our truth, but that we've always been, whether we're the caterpillar or the butterfly. And the essence is really love. We shed the patterns that are keeping us from acknowledging, celebrating, honoring the love that we are.
Yes. So what you made me think about is a client that I had the other day. So speaking about the truth of who we are, this client was talking about low self-esteem. And so many people struggle with low self-esteem. And this does relate to change and transformation. And the truth of who we are. And although he has his own trauma history, and we all have our own history, what I received at the time from to give him the message is that even though we all have our own trauma history, and I think this message is important for all of us to share here, is that our low self-esteem or anything emotionally traumatizing that we've been through, or anything related to our emotions, is we have low self-esteem. Is it caused by these events in our life? Yes, but what it's true, those are just symbolic representations of not being our true self. Those events have taken us away from our true self. And that's why we have low self-esteem, because we're not being who we are. We're not connecting with our emotions. Maybe we're distracting ourselves, or we have, we have ways of blocking, and then we feel, socially we are uncomfortable, maybe because we're just not in our body. So being our true self is healing, helping to heal that emotional body. And things like low self-esteem or the traumas we've experienced that we carry around can be healed. And then we can also heal and change our physical bodies, our DNAs. Some of us have physical issues, some don't, but that is the end result.
You're reminding me of, all kinds of experiences, right? Especially the ones that are so searing in our memory and that are so shaping for us, the trauma and so forth. It shapes us, but it doesn't have to define us. And I think it speaks to acknowledging it, because we don't want to just bury it and not even look at it. But when we bring it to the surface, just like in the ocean or the pool, when we bring it to the surface, it's actually out into the light. And we can just look at it, we can honor it, we can love ourselves through it all. We don't even have to understand it all, but we acknowledge it. And then actually it can be released, just like water evaporates into the sky. It can be just released. The universe is so much. I felt this so powerfully this morning in the pool. We are so connected to so many that are just there to help us, but we have to ask, right? We just have to surrender it. We don't have to even understand it all, but we have to feel it. We have to observe it, acknowledge it, and give permission to just release it to the higher powers to be dissolved into the universe. And then it doesn't have to define us or weigh us down or continue to play this loop over and over that can keep us stuck.
Well,
That
yeah,
clogs our filters.
it helps us. So asking for help is what I think you're talking about. That it's not as if we say, take this and it magically disappears. We have to do the work, but that's how you're asking for help. And yeah.
But you don't have to do it alone. I think
No,
that's the thing.
not alone.
We're never alone. We can feel alone, but we're never alone.
I know.
And so
You always remind me of that.
Yeah, we're so loved. Oh my gosh. Every one of us, every one of you out there has legions and legions of angels just waiting at your beck and call for you to give it over to them. You know, it becomes too much. It weights us down. It's like a weighted blanket that we can't get out from underneath. Lift it and let them carry it.
And that is important because I'm always preaching doing the work and you're always preaching that we're not alone. And they're both important. And, you know, I even had a client today, I was talking about asking for help. And it's important to ask for help, even when we're warriors, even when we have gone it alone, because it's just so much easier that we don't have to, when we're trying to change a thought, we don't have to force it. We can just say, no, that's not the thought I'm having right now. But what you triggered to me and what I want to say, most importantly, is the awareness that yes, we need to ask for help. And what are parts about healing the emotional body? And you brought them up, which is so important, is the healing, the feeling, and the awareness. And then of course we ask for help to change our thoughts and whatever else, when we go round and round in our head, that keeps us from feeling. So those are obstacles, but the awareness, I have been in my healing sessions, I have connected so strongly around the level of healing that's happening, and the awareness that who's coming forward that I'm having sessions with is healing on such a profound level. And even this morning, just seeing those caterpillars, there was some healing involved with them. I don't know what they're going through, those caterpillars. I don't know that much about them, but there is someone, for instance, who is a client who I've done animal readings and also intuitive healing sessions for, and their dog is passing. And we didn't know whether or not he was going to wait for their son to come home from college. And I realized today that every time I tapped into her dog, that it was helping him both transition and stay until he came home. That I didn't realize that, and this has happened with other animals where the healing happens by just connecting around this animal that I'm connecting around. And so I wanted to share that because the power of it, the power of the awareness that I'm experiencing. I have just been delving into this for a long time. We all have that power. We all, when we devote the time and when we open up to it for healing, that awareness of what we're experiencing, awareness of our obstacles, feeling that, and then asking for help. And that is how we heal our emotional body. That is, or another animal, or, we've done healing exchanges on our, during our soul talk. And I'm going to be running a group that's going to be around intuitive gifts and healing exchanges. And before we end, I want you to talk about your groups, but this is so vital to this time that we're at right now. This healing your emotional body is where it's at, which involves that awareness and asking for help. And it's just, this time of transformation is so powerful and open for us that I had to talk with you about it today.
I love that. I love that. And I think the other point that you just brought up so beautifully was our thoughts, because we know when we put out a thought, it actually brings things forward to us. So when we put out a thought, or even just that ask, it's not just the ask on the unseen, but things, people kind of step into your path in the scene, in this realm, in this earthly world, that can bring help and healing. So it's almost like you're putting out the ask, like this big ask to the universe. And then the universe is always responds, always, always. So it's like you said, the observe, the ask, and receive. Right? Observe, ask, and receive. And it's this continual cycle. And we're so connected, just like I felt this morning. We're so connected, but it's just not just the seen, but that unseen. And we're so loved. We're so loved through all of it.
But
so
we have to keep talking about it, which is what you and I, why we began Soul Talk, and why we are going back to talking about this, and we're gonna share our conversations, and why Soul Talk, we realize why it's so important to show up is to talk about, to stay in this. We talked about, you and I had a whole discussion, which is going to be another whole YouTube on particles and waves that we're not getting into right now. But the particle is the physical world, and the wave is the unseen, what you began talking about with what's beneath the surface. So to stay in the wave, to stay in the healing, to stay in that magical place, that we need to talk about these things. We need to stay connected. We need to do our work and show up for ourselves, whether it's meditation or walking in the woods. So we are excited for September and all that's going to be unfolding. And we're going to be doing a lot more videos, and we're going to be unfolding some groups. And I want you to share about your 2 groups that you're going to be doing.
So in beginning of October, I'm going to be doing 2 groups. One is on grief, on loss. So loving after loss and living after loss. And it could be loss of a loved one, loss of an animal, or just loss of something that's dramatic in your life that is creating grief, and to dealing that, and to tapping in to the other side. I ran one earlier, and it was actually profound, Beth, because the people on that in that group had actually lost a loved one, and their loved ones were with us every session. We're never alone, right? But they were actually, I was bringing through messages and connecting around that. The other group is going to be really tapping into the abundance, feeling into that space between the possibility. So there's so much uncertainty you were talking about in the beginning. There's so much change and uncertainty and opening up. So how do I even tap into those possibilities? How do I even get myself moving to clear things, and then to open to possibilities?
I want to be in that one. I need that. And my group is going to be starting in October as well. And it's going to be a combination of tapping into your intuitive gifts and healing exchange. And including in the group is going to be a half-hour intuitive healing sessions, because they have just been with me personally, and they have just been remarkable with the healing that I have seen going on. And even we did the healing exchanges in the Soul Talk, but what I'm going to be doing in this group is giving very specific feedback about the healing that you are all going to be doing, and as well as receiving. So excited about that. I'm so excited we're back on doing our videos and connecting, because I know what it does for you and I. And so it's so important to share this and to be talking about all of these things, because it is such an incredible, powerful time of change and transformation. And we can heal our emotional bodies, and we can heal our physical bodies, and we can change our DNA. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's all possible. So thank you all for listening and tuning in, and we'll be back soon to share more, and we'll talk about the particles and the waves next, which is just absolutely incredible quantum physics, but we're going to talk about it in a simple way. So thank you all.
Love to everybody.
Love to everybody. Have a great day.